Hi, I'm Dr. Shook, and today I want to talk to you about what causes Hashimoto's thyroiditis. This is a very interesting question. It's a complex question, and quite frankly, it's one that we don't know every detail about. We're still learning every day about Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune process. Okay, your immune system is actually attacking the body. But today we have a tremendous amount of information that we've never had available before. There's more research being done than ever before, and we have much more insight into the factors that trigger and that promote Hashimoto's. So that's what I want to share with you today. So first of all, Hashimoto's thyroiditis is an autoimmune process where your immune system attacks your thyroid, located here. Okay? The autoimmune process destroys the cells of the thyroid, causing the gland to get smaller and have less of a capacity to produce thyroid hormone. It also scars the gland and can set the stage for a precancerous state because it does damage the tissue, it does damage DNA, and it can predispose you to thyroid cancer. So it is a serious condition, even though it's very often minimized. So women are much more likely to have any type of thyroid disorder, 5 to 8 times more common than men, and they're also more likely to have Hashimoto's, because we know of people that are hypothyroid, about 90% of them have Hashimoto's. So many people have no idea that this is actually the cause of their problem. And if they did know that, then they could take that information and they could actually start doing something to try and help and treat the cause, not just support the symptom with a thyroid hormone replacement, which quite frankly doesn't work for a lot of people. They can take it and they don't feel any different, or sometimes it makes them feel worse because there are other things going on. But as far as the triggers for Hashimoto's, we know that it tends to occur in a woman's life at 3 different points. Okay, 3 different times in a woman's life it's more common to be triggered. So it is puberty, pregnancy, and perimenopause. And this has to do with the shift in the hormones. When there's a shift in the hormones, there's also a polarization or a change in the immune cells. And if the environmental factors are right, maybe there's an exposure to a virus. Maybe there's something like Epstein-Barr virus that triggers an immune response and activates and causes the immune system to no longer recognize the thyroid as being part of the body. So then there's this immune process that occurs against the gland. So that could be a potential trigger. The shift in the hormones could be a trigger. And then when we look further into the factors that promote the process, it's very often different. So someone may develop Hashimoto's due to an exposure to a virus, for example, or due to a change in hormones. But the things that perpetuate and continue to drive it are often very different. That's usually not the initial trigger. What we tend to find driving autoimmune processes and driving Hashimoto's are 3 different categories of things. We tend to see food, partially digested food proteins or peptides that drive the immune response, promoting autoimmunity. We see, second, that pathogens, chronic activation of the immune system due to bacteria, viruses, parasites, and fungi tend to be a common stimulant and activator of the immune system, promoting the immune response. And the third category of things are environmental chemicals. Now, environmental chemicals are very interesting because this is something that has not been looked at and researched enough. I mean, we have over 85,000 chemicals that are used in agriculture and industry that are being dumped into our air, our water, our food, all around us. All around us. Our clothing. We are soaked and bathed in these chemicals, many of which have not been tested for human safety, have not been tested together at all, and it's very scary because what we know is that a lot of these chemicals, they're endocrine disrupting. They are they will bioaccumulate. They'll build up in the tissues, they'll build up in the bone, they'll build up in the fat tissue, they can build up in the brain. We know that that they very often mimic estrogens, so they can look like hormones and they can disrupt our physiology a number of different ways. Now, a lot of these chemicals, they bind to our human tissues and they form a new structure that the immune system has never seen and then will start reacting against. So these chemicals can also drive the immune response. Now, fortunately, with today's technology and because of some amazing immunologists and researchers, we now have the ability to actually check the immune system and evaluate What is the immune system reacting to? We can look at the food proteins. We can look at cooked and raw versions of food. We can look at the pathogens to see if you have any chronic infections that might be perpetuating and driving this process. And you can have infections everywhere. A lot of people don't realize that oral infections can play a role. Infections in the gut can play a role. It's very, very common to find these problems with people, especially if you're autoimmune. And then we can also evaluate if your immune system is reacting to chemicals. And this is a critical point, because what's driving the process? How do we help someone that's autoimmune? How do we help someone that has Hashimoto's to dampen that autoimmune process so the immune system doesn't attack the gland and continue to destroy it? We've got to detect the problems first. And then when we detect the problems through testing, then we can work to remove them from the immune systems, from the body and from the exposure to the immune system, so that the immune process and the immune triggers can calm down. Once we've done that, we can work to repair and support healing of the body to the best of our ability. And then we can truly optimize thyroid hormone physiology, because Hashimoto's does so many negative things to your physiology, from disrupting production of hormone to breaking down the transport mechanisms and how your body carries it through the bloodstream, and even the sensitivity at the cells. Hashimoto's creates a lot of inflammation, so it really wreaks havoc on the body, predisposes you to cancer, predisposes you to other autoimmune conditions. And this is what we have to consider. We have to consider this process and understand that the factors that drive the most common cause of hypothyroidism in the United States, which is Hashimoto's, that the triggers of that process are often not the things that continue to drive it. And there is something that we can do about it. We can evaluate the factors that are promoting that process. We can remove them from the body. We can work on repairing the damage that has been done and helping you to really get your health back to optimal. I'm Dr. Shook. If you have any questions, or if you'd like to learn more about working with us, or you'd like to see some of our other videos, just visit Shook. That's drbradShook.com, and you can learn more.